that kind of leads me into then not only just growing leaders, but growing myself and making sure that I'm not the lid, that I'm running in the level I need to be running at so that, a rising tide lifts all boats. What do you do to stay, to stay in the rhythm of continuing to grow as a leader? What's your rhythm for that growth pattern in your own life?
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I mean, I've known you a long time. You're a stellar leader, and I appreciate your passion to always like move it up. The thing that you have that is you have an intuition about you, and you have a natural gravitational about you. The problem with all that is intuition is never duplicatable.
Right.
Like, how do you teach it? I don't know. Just feel it. Like, what is that supposed to mean? People tell me I don't really do leadership in my church. It's more intuitive. I'm like, you can't repeat that though.
Right.
That's good for you.
And you're right about that. And that's so true. And that's kind of where I find myself on a lot of occasions. Is some things are caught and taught, but some things it's not there.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that question in a minute, but let's go back just for a second. Let's go back to that leadership development. You are a natural leader. You are a natural gravitational attractional leader. Your intuition is great. But the problem with intuition is not duplicatable. The staff can't do that. Right. So that's why you have to create a system. That's why I tell everybody, create systems. Well, I just do it naturally. I'm like, that doesn't work. Right. That works for you, but it's not going to work for the rest of the team. Yeah. So you have to create those systems. But anyway, to that personal development, the one thing that I try to do, I mean, everybody talks about, I'll give you one thing that I hardly tell anybody, and now I'm going to tell it on a podcast. I'm about to tell something that I'm about to tell on myself. So everybody talks about reading books, which I think you should be consistent, and with podcasts. I'm a huge fan of coaching. I've been getting coached by the same guy for 13 years. 13 years wow. I have been getting coached by the same guy, and I still feel like he's on third, and I'm still I'm leading off of second, but I'm not quite over there to third yet. Right. 13 years, and he's so far in front of me, and I'm just constantly like, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? I think people need to do that and be consistent with it. I think we all, I heard Rick Warren one time say, good intentions aren't good enough. I have a good intention. Well, that's just not good enough.
That's good.
But the other thing, I'll tell you what I really enjoy doing, which allows, I think, key leaders like yourself. I don't know if you've ever subscribed to, I think it's called Sound something, but it's executive summary books by SoundView or Sound Life or Sound something. It's called executive summary books. Basically, they take the best leadership books that are 385 pages or whatever, and they break it down to about 10 pages. I tell you what I do, man, is I'm going to give away a huge secret here. I read those executive summaries, and then I create from that formulas and concepts that when I go to the whiteboard, people are like, dude, every time you go to the whiteboard, you just draw out something amazing. I'm like, oh, here's the secret.
I love that.
I read about 50 or 60 executive summary books a year. Then if you open up my laptop, you click the file that says teaching formulas. I'll take notes while I'm listening, and then I'll put it into a formula that I'm going to teach somewhere else.
That's so
Mission
good.
critical, box and baton, 6 phases of a church. Bro, just being all honest, I've taken stuff from all over, and then I just write the note. I'm telling you, if you want to stay ahead of your staff, you want to always walk in and people be like, man, he's always got something to say. He's always developing. It's because you're looking at executive summaries, you're taking those 10-page books and you're turning them into teaching formulas.
Wow. That's phenomenal. To all your
That's
listeners
how
right
I
now,
cheat my way.
To all the listeners right now, I'm going to say you're welcome. Just pulled something out that just saves you. They need to pay tithe to you, but I get like 2% kickback on that. That is exactly awesome. Right. That is huge. That's a game changer.
Oh, it's huge. Well, and it forces you because you're like, okay, I wouldn't have read that 380-page book from that general. I probably wouldn't have put that on my list. There's 500 other books in front of it. But I'm like, man, that's good. That's a really great thought. Then I type it. Then I go, dude, if you open up my file called Teaching Formula, you will just see a pile of teachings that are like just nuggets. They're not like long teachings. I don't even, if you go in my teaching formula, it's not spread out like a message. It's just my downloaded thoughts from that book. Like, wow, they just talked about, like a new one I'm working on, they just talked about why businesses lose momentum. Then I'm like, well, why do churches lose momentum? And I'm like, man, it's somewhat the same. And so I type maybe just ramble whatever I learned from that 10 pages. Then when I go back to it, I start formulating these thoughts. And I get that all the time. I did an event yesterday in another state. I just got in late last night. And the guy comes up to me, he goes, dude, every time you ask a question, you grab a marker and you go to the whiteboard. Where do you come up with all these thoughts? And I'm like, I mean, you just got, you got to be sensitive to the little intuitive.
Right. Some guys got it, some guys don't. Sorry about that.
I'll be honest with you. I read a lot of books, but I read executive summary books.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's like $100 a year and you get like hundreds of them. It's crazy.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you said a sound something.
Yeah, sound. I think it's Sound View or something like that. Yeah, just punch in executive summary. It's one of the most popular ones.
Okay.
But I think it's called Sound View, I think is the name of the organization. But,
Man, I love that.
Yeah, they're just killer. I get the cheapest one because I don't like the audio. I want it to be in front of me so I can be writing notes and going, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But bro, that absolutely excels my leadership and absolutely gives me something to say when I walk in the room.
For sure. Man, I love that. That's cool. I'm going to be.
That's it.
I'll be
you can thank all the listeners. Bro,
right.
literally, I've been doing that for years, and I've never once told anybody. You are the first person I've told on a podcast.
You're supposed to tell me that in secret. Not on a podcast.
I don't know. I'm just letting it go, man. Feeling really good today. I got the American flag shirt on. It's feeling very patriotic.
That is awesome. Well, I know one other thing for me, and I think you've been with us enough that you kind of recognize this around me enough, is that